I am with Chris Moyer, who's Senior Director of Communications for Visit Detroit. Thanks for speaking to Selling Travel today, Chris.
It's a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure to be over in the UK.
Well, we're talking in a room in the Grand Hotel in Brighton. Tell me what you're doing down on the seaside here.
Well, I've been over in the UK for just about a week now. I was at International Media Marketplace in London for a couple of days, and now doing a tour of beautiful parts of the UK, telling the Detroit story all over the seaside and the great country.
Tell us what that Detroit story is.
Detroit's story is really one of incredible renaissance, and for the UK visitor, the UK traveler, travel agents selling to customers, this is one that you really don't want to miss, because it requires that little bit of extra thought and nuance. Detroit has a reputation of, that you've fallen on hard times, and we did in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, but 25 years of reinvestment has led to an incredible renaissance in the city. Art, music, culture, the automotive industry underpinning all of this, and its heyday in the 1950s led to so much wealth for the city. It was Detroit and New York were the two wealthiest cities in the world at the time. And people think, it's fallen on hard times. It did, but it was a dissipation of that wealth out into the suburbs, and now there's been a reinvestment in Detroit as this fantastic community. We're the only UNESCO City of Design in the United States. There are more than 500 murals. We're a city of working artists and musicians, more working artists and musicians than Nashville, Austin, Texas. It's a place of incredible culture.
And tell us about some of the must-do attractions when you're in the city.
Absolutely. For automotive enthusiasts, you really need to get to the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation. This tells the story of the American spirit. The American actor Mark Wahlberg, not a Detroiter, from Boston, came to Detroit and he said, Detroit invented the invention. And that's what this museum really takes people into. And you can then ride in a Model T Ford. You see Edison's laboratory. Thomas Edison and Henry Ford were dear friends at the later part of Edison's life. And when he passed, Henry Ford, nail by nail, wood plank by wood plank, brick by brick, disassembled Edison's lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey, reassembles it in Detroit, in Dearborn, Michigan. And so this is what people can see. Cars, trains, planes, and the spirit of turn of the 19th and 20th century America.
Okay.
That's one spot. I'll stop there.
No, sure.
Yeah.
A lot of cities claim to be a city of different neighborhoods, but Detroit is certainly one of those, isn't it?
Absolutely. Detroit has such unique flavors neighborhood to neighborhood. We've got this incredible neighborhood, Corktown. Obviously, that's where the Irish immigrants first came to the city in the 1850s. It had an industrial past. Now it's sort of the hip, cool area for people to set up coffee shops and little bars and distilleries. Ford is bringing an incredible project to life there. They've restored the 20-story Michigan Central train station. That's going to be their campus of future mobility. Google is coming in there. It's got a beautiful, massive atrium, restaurants, bars, common space for people to just mix and mingle, and a couple great parks just right around there.
Okay.
The north end of Detroit, you've got the highest concentration of black-owned businesses in the city. It's called the Avenue of Fashion on Livernois. Again, this started as a fashion district on the north side of Detroit, but it has become this cultural touchstone and hub of Black Detroit, and that is Detroit. we're the largest black majority city in the country, and it's just a beautiful melting pot of people and experiences.
You're also a great sports city, and you've got professional teams, I think, in all of the major US sports.
That's right.
If you're a visitor, can you get tickets for some of these games?
These are the hardest tickets to get are your Lions and your Detroit Red Wings tickets. But whether you want to see the baseball, the Detroit Tigers, the Detroit Lions is the American football team. You've got the Detroit Pistons as your basketball team, and then the Red Wings are hockey. All four major teams play within half of a mile of each other. So there are days when you can come in the fall and see a baseball game and an American football game, basketball game and a football game, hockey game and a football game. This type of thing happens, and it's quite easy to get tickets. It's a lot of fun. All of our teams are young, on the rise teams, so catch them now while you're going to see soon-to-be champions.
And for travel agents who might wonder where Detroit fits into a touring itinerary, what would you suggest?
Well, there are 2 direct flights every day from London Heathrow on Delta Virgin Atlantic. But in addition, starting this May 18th, there's going to be an Icelandair flight that comes in. Regional airlines flying into Reykjavik can get that flight over to Detroit. Stopover in Iceland if you want, up to 5 days. Detroit is also a fantastic place to go off and see the Great Lakes in the United States and southern Canada. Ontario and Detroit literally are right next to each other. Windsor, Ontario, and Detroit, it has the busiest crossing between the United States and Canada. It's on a beautiful river. We're 4 hours from Toronto. You can take the rail, you can drive. There's quick flights over there. And then we're 4 hours from Chicago the other way going west. So it's perfectly centrally located in the Great Lakes.
Okay, thanks. And finally, for travel agents who might want to find out some more about the destination, what would you refer them to?
And you've got to go to visitdetroit.com to see all of the incredible offerings that we have.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to Selling Travel today, Chris.
That's absolutely my pleasure.